10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Hi, and welcome to Dax Chats. In this episode, I'm speaking to a man who lives in the Logan area, I would say, of Brisbane, in a place called Bars Scrub. He came out in 2016 with his debut EP, which had a single called Seasons off that. In 2017, he had a song called The Country Life, which he wrote with Troy Kemp, Damien Bagley, and his longtime friend and manager, Cole Finley. Since then, he's also asked what it's like in the real world, and he's been here to party. And just recently, he's just brought out a brand new track that he co-wrote with Haley Jensen called Dear Dad. And we're going to talk to him about that right now. Today, Dax Chats to Will Day. And here's Will. How are you, buddy?
G'day, Dave. How are you, mate?
I'm all right. It's a long history, isn't it? 2016, it all started for you as far as the recording side of things, but you've been in music for a lot longer than that, haven't you?
Yeah, I have, mate. I've been playing in pubs and venues since I was 16, so which is a few more years than that. But yeah, always been involved in music, mate, and like you said, probably involved in recording artists in country music, yeah, since around that time. So, but a long history of performing live and music's my life, mate. It's been my life. It still is. Like it has my life.
So I need to ask you, the last time I spoke to you, you have been a full-time musician. That was your full-time gig.
Yeah.
What's it been like with everything stopped? It's been a crazy ride this year. How's it been for you to change things up?
Yeah, it's a good question, and it's been a rough year for people in the creative industries in general. You know what I mean? I'm doing some teaching at a creative industries college right now, and that's where I am doing this interview. And I'm lucky to be working with lots of young students who want to get into being musicians. For me, as of being a full-time musician, like you said, for the last 10 years, it's been very strange. It's been a very strange change for me, and it has been for a lot of my friends, and probably a lot of the amazing country artists you speak to on here as well. But what I have said a bunch of times, and I've been asked the same question, is that musicians and songwriters, we're pretty good at adapting to all sorts of adverse circumstances. So, and this has been one of the biggest challenges we've had in a long time. Somehow we've adapted. Somehow, it's not ideal. There hasn't been any gigs. It's been very tough for a lot of people. I've been lucky enough that like I said, I've been doing some teaching, and I'm still involved in music in that sense. And I've just released Dear Dad, like you said, so I'm releasing music, and which is great. But it's been really hard, man, for me, obviously. But a lot of people, like if this happened last year, at the same time, I would have been in the same position like my other friends without a job, basically. So it's been tough. Musicians have adapted to with the live streaming, and there's some pretty ordinary news going around at the moment about that, which I don't know if we should get into, but with Facebook.
Well, yeah, I was going to ask you about that. The news has gone around that Facebook are changing their details with music and live streaming on their pages. What's your take on that?
Oh, yeah, I've got to stay calm on that one. I kind of get it's pretty annoying. This year, right? Look at what's happened. Okay, so we've had musicians, and not just us, but we were one of the first industries affected by this when venues shut down, along with the bar staff and the managers and the whole entertainment industry. But so I talked about adapting. We've adapted. We put on shows online, and now Facebook are seriously considering doing this to us, the
Mm,
artists, and that's
mm,
what they're doing. I understand copyright. I'm very aware of how that all works, as I'm sure
yep,
you are. I get
yep,
that. Okay,
mm,
but we need an outlet. Where else are we going to play? So to be honest, I've just seen I've seen a couple of articles. I'm not I haven't made it. I sort of haven't done some in-depth research on it yet, but it doesn't look good and it seems pretty ordinary from Facebook, from what I can gather. So let's hope
mm.
some sense prevails. If I'm playing my
Well,
own song, if I'm playing
this
my
is
own,
this is
I have every right to play my own song.
Correct, but this is why in Dax Chats now, once we saw that come out, I know you asked me the other day, do you want me to perform the song or do you want me to? And I said, no, it's just a chat because
Yep.
we've got to worry about the copyright issues too. If you perform a song on something that's published on our page,
Yep.
what does it do to us?
Yeah,
So
it can be muted, and it's a really tricky line we're treading now with this.
mm,
I
mm,
do I really hope that sense prevails from Facebook.
mm,
I understand the laws. I understand how it works, but in the world we're living in, we creative people need an outlet. So fingers
mm,
crossed.
mm.
Fingers crossed that sense prevails.
Fingers crossed as well. Is exactly right. There's always YouTube. You might have to just go and do live streaming on YouTube and tell all your Facebook fans to head over to YouTube because
We
apparently
will we will adapt
it's
again, I suppose.
a lot better over there at the moment.
Yeah, yeah. So anyway, mate, it's
uh,
not looking great, but we'll see what happens here.
Yeah, exactly. So again, this year you decided to bring out new music in the midst of this pandemic, which is a tough thing for anybody to to think about. Can I do it? Is there going to be an impact? Is it going to get to the people because I'm not going to be able to go out and perform it? But you took on the decision. You released this song. It's very close and very personal to you, and it's also very close and personal to your co-writer. And you also brought out the film clip for it on Father's Day.
Yeah, it's lovely to have new music out there, Dave, and I was a little bit hesitant about whether to release any music this year. I had a single lined up to release in May, and I decided against that. For obvious reasons, I suppose, what was happening in the financial aspect of it as well.
Mm,
Also radio sort of taking a big hit, as you know. Uh,
yeah.
so I decided, but the plan was always to release this song on around into coincide with Father's Day, and I was like, you know what, I'm going to do it. Things I guess have started to turn around a little bit in Australia, somewhat.
Mm,
Around when I released it, nowhere near back to normal. Obviously, we got
no.
a long road ahead of us, but I'm really glad I stuck to that decision because what I found so far, the release has been out for nearly a month to radio and to
Mm,
digital platforms, and I've got an overwhelming sense of that the song was connected to people in a way that I hoped it would, but I didn't know it would on this level. So I've got lots of people contacting me saying, I lost my dad or my mum or a loved one, and this song I well up every time. And as songwriters, we want to connect with people. Okay,
and
that's our job, you know.
and you absolutely have with this song, as you just said. Lots of people are contacting you and saying they've lost their fathers and how it's affected them on that level. I have to say the same for me, and I'm welling up here. Sorry.
No, it's fine, mate. No worries.
During COVID, my father passed away, and I couldn't get back to
Oh,
Australia for a funeral or anything. He actually didn't have a funeral. He was just cremated and put in a wall somewhere. So yeah, your song
wow.
really impacts me too.
Wow, I'm really sorry to hear that. I can't even really imagine that, to be honest, mate. Yeah, my
It was
condolences.
shocking.
It sounds pretty damn awful. And I guess in a sense, like what you're saying about connecting the song. Well, I really feel for you. I'm really sorry to hear that, Dave.
It's all
Um,
right, man.
I with my dad, and my dad died of brain cancer when I was 18, he was 49, um,
Mm,
and this is what I've said to a lot of people about the song is that it's about my story, and it's very personal to me and very raw.
mm,
It's the raw song, most raw song I've ever released, obviously,
yeah.
and very emotional. But and it is for Haley as well. I co-wrote
Mm,
the song with the amazing Haley Jensen when we were in Tamworth a few years ago, and it means a lot to her as well. The song, so I know it means a lot to her that I've released it.
mm,
But the whole thing with the song is it's connecting with people like yourself, who can relate to it on the same level as me,
yep.
whether you've lost your dad when you were young, or you're older, or whatever, or you know what, some people
Yeah.
never even knew their dad too. So what I've realized is that there's a lot of people out there that don't have their old man around any longer, and I guess I
Mm,
got to say goodbye to my dad. So I feel grateful for that, especially after hearing your story just then. So it's yeah, it's a tough one, mate. It's nothing easy about it, and grief, as you know, is it's part
mm.
of being human. It's part of we have to go through it, but it doesn't make it any easier, does it?
No, no, absolutely not. And I
Um,
mean,
yeah,
when it happened for me, it was like it was a huge shock. And it's in the middle of this pandemic. Like I wasn't overly close to my father, but it gets to that point where blood is thicker than water. So when that call came in and you heard your father's passed away, and like I'm like, what happened? How did it happen? Why did it happen? All these questions started going through your mind, and then international phone calls back and forth to different people and to hospitals, and
mm,
to find out why it all what happened.
mm,
And it wasn't COVID. He didn't die of COVID. His heart just
mm,
stopped.
yeah,
So he was, what, 75 years old.
yeah,
So it was strange for me because I was like stuck in this place where, I we're in the midst of the pandemic. Australia's in complete lockdown in March. There was no flights into
nothing.
Australia. Well, there
Mm,
was limited flights into Australia. If you could get into a flight, you had to be quarantined, and
mm,
you had to go and ask for special, you'd have to petition the Australian government for special reasons to get away from the quarantine to
mm.
go and have the funeral. And it was just not cost effective
No,
to try and go through all that dilemma
mm.
just to have a funeral when you could only have 10 people at a funeral. It
Yeah,
was
that's right. I can't even, man. I can't even. After going through what I went through with my dad, and the tragedy of that, and seeing my dad get very sick, and we all have our
mm,
different stories, I suppose. But my heart's really going out to you, Dave. I said,
yeah.
what a year this has been. Yeah, I mean that's yeah, very sad, and I feel for you and your family. And
Mm,
that's the thing. A lot of people don't get a chance to say goodbye, and it's a
yeah.
really tough one.
It was. So yeah, obviously, me being a songwriter as well, as you know,
Mm,
I just threw together a song. It wasn't for anything other than just to release the emotions. Like I wasn't expecting huge radio play. I wasn't expecting anything from it. I just wanted to sort of just get the emotions out. So I actually went and put it out to radio and everything. Did the pre-orders and all that type of stuff. But you know, whether it was going to make any money out of it, whether I didn't want to make money out of it. I just
mm,
wanted it to be out in the world to say, here's my deepest, darkest emotions right
yeah,
here on paper.
yeah.
This was probably the most real song that I've written. Same as you,
Yeah,
like.
yeah, that's right. And as songwriters, that's our job is to, we're sharing, we're sharing the world through our eyes, I suppose, and what we see of it and what we go through. And some of the darkest songs ever written are some of the biggest and most popular songs ever written. So, um,
Correct.
for me, this song was, like I said, although it's been 13 years since my dad died this year, and to release it around Father's Day, that was a decision consciously to do that because a lot of people
Mm,
in my position that spend every Father's Day without their old man, and
mm.
yeah, I'm just really glad that I put it out there, and that it's connected, I suppose, and I'm glad it's connected with you, and every person I talk to that's connected to it just means so much to me. So
It it
yeah,
it has, and releasing that video clip on Father's Day. Now, I did watch your interview with Danny the other day, and it took you a fair few takes to get through that video clip because it is such a raw song. Um, on the day that you released it, and I watched it on Father's Day, and it was my first Father's Day without my dad. Like it hit me hard. My wife wondered why I was crying because I was watching a video clip.
Yeah, like who's that guy? Yeah, no, that was, I guess for me, and I keep coming back to this thing with this song. I keep coming back to saying that it's been very therapeutic for me releasing this song personally, but it's almost like it's been that for other people, which I think is absolutely amazing. It
Yeah.
blows my mind, but it has been very therapeutic for me in my grief, and like I mentioned grief earlier, we don't really understand it. Like, how do we get a head around it? It's not. We all know pain and loss. It's part of being human, and everyone has their own way of getting through grief. And I don't think it gets any easier over time. Might come away from. I'm not sure. I'm still working out myself after all these years. But release. So my cousin shot that clip. My cousin knew my dad. My cousin's a really talented young film director over here in Queensland, and he did such an amazing job of capturing the emotion of that song on film like that. I was so happy and proud of the job he did, and so proud to release that on Father's Day, and having that old footage of my dad. He did such a wonderful job. So big thanks to Jim and Cole, who was there helping me produce the clip that day, and also my friend Julie, who shot helped us with in the film crew. So it's a special clip, and just I was really special to release it on that morning, I suppose. So I released that song, and then I went and spent the day with my kids, and it was quite a almost a bittersweet day, I suppose. But you spoke about the day I shot it. It was full on. Like I lost it I had, obviously, as you do with film clips. We had I probably sung it 25 times that day, and by the end, in those sunset shots, when Jim, my cousin, managed to capture that light, it was like, oh man, it was like my dad was just there. It was crazy, intense, but special.
Yep, absolutely. So, talking about, it's great that you kept it in the family too, having your cousin help you out with the film clip. That was fantastic.
I like that idea of the personal aspect of the song and keeping the family. Yeah, it was nice.
And now Cole Finley has been an amazing support for you for many, many years now. I think he's been your manager for about 4 years. How's that relationship been for you, and where do you see yourselves going, both you and Cole, heading towards in the future?
Yeah, it's been Cole and I become great mates the last few years, and like you said, he's my manager now, and it's been a really tough year for Cole as well. I mean, Cole's the same as me; he's a full-time musician, and I've been lucky enough to do some teaching, so it's been really hard for a lot of my friends and Cole included. And like you said, he's been such an amazing support since I've met him. Really, in believing in me is the amazing thing that Cole has done for me. He just believes in me, and he backs me, and 100%. And it's really our friendship professionally and personally this year has grown stronger because he's stuck by me in a pandemic. We're not, both of us can't tour. We can't do what we're used to doing, and we do a lot of that together as well. And he's stuck by me, and he's worked so hard on this, helping me get this song out. He's believed in it, so I can't thank him enough for everything he's done. And moving forward, we're hoping to get bigger and stronger. And I plan to get in the studio with my producer here on the Gold Coast, Jared Allen, and record my rest. I've kind of done half my albums, so I'd like to finish that off this year. And Cole and I had the plan for me to release it this year, but it's fallen by the wayside. So fingers crossed next year, finally my debut album finally will come out. And so it's full steam ahead for Cole and I. We're doing a gig together tomorrow night, so it'll be fun. But
awesome.
he's a big supporter. Such a great mate of mine, and I'm very, very lucky and grateful to have him in my corner.
Yeah, absolutely. So looking forward, looking ahead, obviously Tamworth's not happening now, which is a very, very weird thing for the Australian country music community and the landscape of country music in Australia. What do you see moving into 2021?
Well, I like everyone look as Tamworth as the way to kick off a year of touring and or whatever. Just it's how we kick off our year as country music artists. And I'm still a relatively newcomer to the Australian country music scene. David, it's so weird. I think I've done about maybe 6 or 7, and we're talking about people who have done like 30, 40 years, so, who won't be going this year. It's very strange. And the thing about, just for a second, I'll talk about with Tamworth and the community. My heart breaks for the Tamworth, the community, and the financial impact that's going to have on that community.
Yeah, for sure.
The lack of financial support for not only Tamworth but all the surrounding towns around Tamworth that benefit from the tourism and the festival. So, man, it's gonna be tough for everyone. Country music artists, country music fans, but the community is really going to feel it big time, because that's some of those venues. That's their influx for the year, and it's a period to create revenue and income and support. So I really spare a thought for them,
and all those small businesses. It's
the
more
coffee shops,
the
mechanics, all the people coming and getting tire issues or what, I don't know, whatever, engine issue, everything. It's a flow-on effect. So the Tamworth community or the region is going to suffer really badly, just like a lot of festivals that have been cancelled, the regions around them. But so that'll be weird not kicking off with that, because I had such a great Tamworth this year. I had my most successful yet. I had played 9 straight nights at West. It was awesome. Late night shows, sweaty, party, country rock, my kind of vibe. And that was this year. I still can't get my head around it. That was this year. So we'll see, mate. Like I said, hopefully debut album. And fingers crossed I can tour that to some extent interstate. Let's just wait and see what happens with our friend COVID.
Well, for you, I'd be looking ahead to Groundwater 2021, because that would be your closest festival right now, wouldn't it?
That's right. Yeah. Groundwater. I was actually going to be in the lineup again this year. I played the Envy 3 nights last year, and it was very successful. And I was going to be on the bill this year again, but I was in the second round of artist announcements, which never got made because of COVID. So fingers crossed that I'll have opportunity to play that festival again. And realistically, that's in June, July. So probably, who knows, mate? It could be until then that festivals are. Well, hopefully. I mean, gosh, hopefully by then at the latest. So we'll see. We'll see. Fingers crossed.
Well, with this pandemic, it's forever changing. I mean, I don't understand what happened in America, but that's a different country. But from what I can see, from where I am in the Northern Hemisphere and from where you guys are in Australia, yes, it's hit the colder climates more. So Victoria got hit hard because of some strange things that went on. Queensland's done very, very, very well for itself. Very good on you guys. But here in China, it dissipated very, very quickly. Like, we were in lockdown for 5 months, right? But it dissipated because it got hotter, and it got 36-degree days, 40-degree days, whatever. So it dissipated to next to nothing. Yes, we still have small cases coming in here and there, but they're usually it's not community cases. It's from outside, so people have flown in that have the virus, that probably didn't even know they had the virus. They're probably just asymptomatic. That's what we're dealing with now. But my worry now is that we're getting into the cooler months, and is it going to ramp back up again? Do we worry about a huge second wave in China? That's my thought. And I think for Australia, it's the opposite effect. Come January, I think it's going to be next to nothing.
With the heat,
which made me worry about why Tamworth, the regional council made such a decision so early in the piece. I mean, I get social distancing. I get that the scope of the festival would have changed dramatically, but I still think that come that time of year when you've got 42-degree heat in the middle of January, I think it wouldn't have been too much of an issue, but it is what it is, unfortunately. So I do worry about, again, it might calm down in Australia come the summer months, but then what happens as you get to the cooler months? So when we think about Groundwater, in the cooler months, is it going to be is it going to be coming, or is it going to be put off again because it's ramped up again?
Yeah, there's just so
That's
much, so many, like you said,
un,
so many
un,
unknowns, so many variables,
uncertainty. Yeah.
and we're not. I mean, we don't. No one knows really. So a
Mm.
day at a time. I think it really is. And we're very lucky here in Queensland, as you said, as far as case numbers go
Mm.
so far. So yeah, mate. Yeah. What do you say? I mean, what do you say about this year? It's sort of
It's
I got nothing. I mean,
it's
and I'm like everyone
it's
else around the world. So mm,
it's the year from hell. It really is. On the positive side, there is a positive to this because, and I've heard many people say this. It has made us stop. It has made us think.
mm,
It has made us realize what's important to us.
mm,
So, you've been able to take a step back from things. You've been able to spend more time with your family. You've
yeah,
got two young children,
mm,
and a lovely wife,
yeah.
so
And that's the
that
thing.
whole, and so there is positives that have come out of this because it's the same for me. I've had time to spend with my wife, my
Yep,
son,
yep.
it's been beautiful. And I've also been able to create all of this
Yeah, yeah,
because
that's
I was
right.
because I was stuck at home. So there was a lot of positives that came out of it as well.
Yeah, that's I think the best thing when you do is try and take some positives out of a whole lot of negatives. And you mentioned a couple
Mm.
there with myself, and I miss being on stage. It's what I do. It's built within me,
Yeah.
but I've managed to still be involved in music by teaching. But the being at home on the weekends, my family has been absolutely beautiful. So
Mm, mm.
um, you kind of positives out of negatives wherever you can in the world we live in,
I
Dave.
heard, I heard I heard about your your last weekend on Sunday. Yeah,
Yeah,
fighting on the wrestling on the trampoline. Hey,
yeah,
that's a
yeah.
good one.
That was. I made it through. I didn't hurt my knee. I got a bit of a dodgy knee, so my son and I made it through without any big dramas or no tears. So that was good. I had a bit of fun.
Cool. So you said you're going to bring out a single in May that you put off because of this whole situation. Is that something that you're looking towards, maybe bringing out towards the end of the year now?
I probably won't this year. Just that it's a funny time to release music around that end of year period, around Christmas. That might change, but that'll be probably my next single going to next year. Usually you kind of have Tamworth and then you might have a lot of releases after that. So it'll be interesting to see, or for myself, when I release my next single or when other artists do, the landscape's changed a little bit, in the timeline anyway for the year.
For sure.
But that one will probably be next. But like I said, I'm going in to record a bunch of new tracks. That one will definitely be in the album either way, but it will be a single. But a lot of new tracks coming on the album as well. So I'll just see what happens with the album and pick a
Mm.
next single from that, I suppose. Yeah.
No problem. Well, Will Day, thank you very much for your time. It's been great to talk to you as always. It's great to, and one day when I get back to Australia, we will have that beer together.
We will do that, mate. I'd love to. And thanks so much, Dave, for your support. And you're doing a lot of great things for a whole lot of Australian country music artists. So good on you, mate. And lots of artists around the world for that matter. So well done, mate.
Yes,
And thanks for
thank
the
you very
support.
much.
Yeah, keep it
No
up.
worries. Well, you have a good night, and remember, everybody, you can listen to Will Day on the Country Thunder Network. You can hear his brand new single, Dear Dad. Just go to our website, countrythunder.com.au, and you can request a song straight from the player. You can also vote for it in the Country Thunder 20. The voting form is at the top of the page, so please do. And of course, if you want to go to all your major streaming platforms, you will find him there. And you can also find his website, willday.com.au. Until next time, this is DJ Dax signing out for Dax Chats, and we're proudly supported by Neon Horse in Stanhope, Victoria. Bye for now.